What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times.
What's up? What's up?
And typically Levon Maynard, but he's on holiday. So continue to like, share, subscribe to the podcast. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So we will be going on holiday break. So this should get you through to Christmas Eve, and then you will not see us again in new content until the 10th of January. That's when we'll be back. So if you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, whether it be video or audio, you will get probably throughout the holiday. I'm going to try to break out some clips and put them out there, but you'll get all of our new content come New Year. So definitely hit us up and continue to watch the show. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday, we have a very good discussion with my Ms. Aisha Hollins, talking about Meta and some of the privacy and security features they're putting in for kids and parents when it comes to Instagram. So it's a great conversation. Tune in for that one. Thursday is usually Ask Us SP. We probably won't have that this week. Look forward to that come this new year. And then Friday, we talk about everything else. So we talk about movies, books, media, TV shows. No cyber. maybe a little bit, but probably no cyber. But without further ado, one of this week's topics is on ZDNet. It is entitled, This company was hit with ransomware, but didn't have to pay up. Here's how they did it. It's an article written by Danny Palmer of ZDNet. I thought this was a heartwarmer for the holiday. We finally had a W in the media when it came to cybersecurity and cyber defense, right? So typically all of 2020 and all of 2021 was all ransomware, all day, every day, supply chain attacks, phishing emails. Now we have the Log4j or Log4, however you pronounce it, vulnerability that is crippling the internet as we speak. So no rest for the worry come this holiday. But in this case, you have this Australian company that was hit with ransomware, and the cyber criminals demanded $15 million for the decryption key. They wanted it in Bitcoin. They want 15 mil. Apparently, they were able to get in through a phishing email, which came from inside the company. So somebody's account was compromised, and a legitimate looking email with legitimate credentials went out to another employee. They clicked the link. They let the bad guys in. It happens. And in it, the person, I can't remember if it was their CISO or just the director of their cybersecurity department, stated like, hey, it happens. We do the training and what have you. But this one came from in the company, so there's a little bit of forgiveness, right? It just looked real. But they let the bad guys in. But lo and behold, they had backups that were protected with MFA. So shout out to Levon, the MFA champion of the world. He loves him some MFA. So they could not compromise their backups. Therefore, when the deadline came up, the team actually knew what was stolen. So I forget how many gigs of information was stolen. Then he said something like 13 gigs or something like that. But it was mostly ping logs. So there was no damage to be had. But more importantly, when they tried to come in and disrupt the backups, they couldn't, because the backups were protected. They were protected by MFA, and they couldn't get into it. So they simply ignored the ransomwares, which rarely happens. And when the deadline came through, they had no data to dump out there to the world. So the company was safe. So how you feel about this, Shannon?
I love it. I love it. I love it, right? So like, no, because we've talked about this before, right? So like this was Australia, right? So like this was in Australia, but this is the same type of stuff that we talk about that over in Europe that they're going towards, right? They're like, don't pay it, right? This is one of those things where It's lucrative to the criminals if you pay it, right? But if you don't, it's going to be one of those things where it's not worth it, because it's kind of a two-prong approach, right? So like if you do what you're supposed to, like this company did, you protect yourself, you've got that going for you, right? But then you got these other governments that are taking it more serious, and they're looking to prosecute, right? They're looking to prosecute these people that are going after and doing this. So it's not like these companies are going at it alone. You're going to have the backing of, these other governments, right? That say, hey, we don't want anybody to go about doing this, and I love to see stuff like this, right? It kind of reminds me of I don't want to say it. It was going to be a bad word, but it was like Goodfellas, right? You know what they say, this pay me, you know what I mean? And they were like, nah,
Right,
we
right.
don't care about that. We don't care about that. But no, it was good that they did that, right? Like, so they did the backups. They spent that little bit of time. They had some other software, right, that would protect them in this instance, to where they didn't have to go down. They didn't have to lose 15 million, right? Was what the demand
Yeah,
was.
15 million.
$15 million didn't have to get paid. I think in the article though, they said that they didn't even have it though. I think I read that.
Yeah, he did. He did
Like an
say, yeah,
article. He was
we
like,
couldn't pay that.
we couldn't pay that anyway, but like even if they had it, they probably still wouldn't, because they did the right thing, right? They took the protections they should have. So good for them, right? So especially with it being down in Australia, because everything will kill you down in Australia, right? The snakes, the spiders, the sharks,
The entire continent.
yeah, everything down there will kill you, but they did the right thing, right? And I didn't see it specifically mentioned in the article, but I can almost guarantee that their backups were in a separate location, right? They weren't stored on the same devices where the active information was, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to have backups, keep them in that very same place, right? You want to put them somewhere else to have them protected. But still, with that, I love to see this, right? I just imagine that these hackers are just pissed off somewhere, like, why didn't this
Yeah.
work? Like, no, because they did what they were supposed to. So I love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a lesson. Hopefully this blows up where it gets a little bit more press. I like the laid backness of the person that was being interviewed. Like he was like, yeah, we ain't had that.
Yeah.
But what we did have was good backups. So when they got in, and he also was, he or she, I can't remember what the person's name was, but they were also pretty forgiving of the employee. Like, hey, this came from a
Verified
one
account.
yeah, verified account, and they clicked it and let them in. It happens, but with training, we'll get better. But again, it happens. I get that some forgiveness, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been as forgiven had they actually been, what I mean, lost their backups. They would be like, we got to let Frank go. Frank crippled us, and we don't have $15 million to restore ourselves. But yeah, I think this is definitely the way to go. The U.S. is also pushing for the same type of legislation. Can't say the word. Regulation.
There you go.
I'll find a different one. To keep people from paying, because I mean, millions of dollars have been lost, right? I think it said upwards of $21 billion, not only in ransomware ransoms, but just in what company losses from having to stand up a team, to having to develop new backups, or just loss of profits due to downtime. So it's very costly and that was just the US. It's very costly. It's been impacting us for more than 2 years, but especially the past 2 years have been terrible with ransomware. So like you said, I love to see it. More people need to do this, like take a stand, and be confident in it. Like they're confident in their stand because they like, A, we have no choice, but B, we have our backups. We're good to go. So if you have both of those things, you have no fear. You're like, when that day comes, and then they lost nothing of importance. So good for them. Please continue to tune in throughout the week, and like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Again, Monday and Tuesday are our cybersecurity topics. Wednesday, we have a discussion. This week, we have guest host Aisha Hollins to speak about the Meta and just what they're doing with Instagram, which all good stuff. But she also goes into her internet safety classes and things of that nature. So very good discussion. Definitely tune in for that one. And then Thursday, we typically have Ask a CSP. That's a show where I speak to people who are trying to get into cybersecurity. And then Fridays, we talk about everything else. So if you tune in on Friday, it's not really cyber focused. Hit up the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com. We get to all of our socials. You can hit me up personally. I'm at Rai Security Guy on LinkedIn, Twitter, Clubhouse, and TikTok. And Levon is Levon Maynard on Twitter. Stay safe, stay secure.